I got two things again.
Oh. Alright. Let's show us what's in the box. Top secret.
First one is for Grizz.
Oh.
What?
Hang on, what do we got?
Keep going, though, man. You're doing good. Yes! Dude, you punched the fuck out of
dude.
that, man.
Holy fucking shit!
So good. Yo, Captain Pearl.
I didn't know what was going on there.
Man. Fucking got him.
Fucking got him, dude.
Holy shit. Dude, good game. Fucking good game.
Are you ready?
I knew it!
Cap, look at my fish.
Oh, wow.
My little bite. Ready? Bitch.
Always steal those kisses from you. Always have to steal those kisses from you. Always have to steal those kisses from you. Always have to steal my kisses from you. Oh. Alright. Let's show us what's in the box. Top secret.
First one is for Grizz.
Oh.
What?
Hang on, what do we got?
Keep going, though, man. You're doing good. Yes! Dude, you punched the fuck out of that, man.
Holy fucking shit!
So good. Yo, Captain Pearl.
I didn't know what was going on there.
Man. Fucking got him.
Fucking got him, dude.
Holy shit. Dude, good game. Fucking good game.
Are you ready?
I knew it!
Cap, look at my fish.
Oh, wow.
My little bite. Ready? Bitch.
Always have to steal those kisses from you. Always have to steal those kisses from you. Always have to steal those kisses from you. Always have to steal my kisses from you. Oh. Alright. Let's show us what's in the box. Top secret.
First one is for Grizz.
Oh.
What?
Hang on, what do we got?
Keep going, though, man. You're doing good. Yes! Dude, you punched the fuck out of that, man.
Holy fucking shit!
So good. Yo, Captain Pearl.
I didn't know what was going on there.
Man. Fucking got him.
Fucking got him, dude.
Holy shit. Dude, good game. Fucking good game.
Are you ready?
I knew it!
Cap, look at my fish.
Oh, wow.
My little bite. Ready? Bitch.
Always have to steal those kisses from you. Always have to steal those kisses
Yo. G'day all. Sakose, Fancy Badger, and Airy J with the frickin' 3 months in advance. Hooly dooly. That's wild, mate. Thank you.
How we doing, legends?
I think we might just jump straight into it, eh?
Let's do that.
No time like the present.
I haven't tested mine. Is this working? Yeah, cool. All right.
You all good, Adrian, if we crank in?
I'm ready to go.
Let's get ready.
Yeah.
Counting down in 3, 2, 1.
Frickin' g'day and welcome to Oceanic Gaming Radio. This is episode 72. It is the 18th of the 9th, 2023. My name's Captain Perth, coming to you live on twitch.tv/Oceanic Gaming Radio, 7 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. You can join us here live as we record this. Welcome if you're listening via podcast, and welcome if you're watching live. Alongside me, as always, Pavlova Face, and joining us, a very, very special guest, Adrian. Welcome, mate. Welcome to the potty.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Oh, mate, thank you for coming on down, filling Grizz's shoes. He just got off his flight, and I believe he hasn't slept for 27 hours, which
sounds like
I don't know.
Grizzler.
Yeah, but also I didn't even. That's you shouldn't be allowed to do that. That should be illegal.
It's a not health and safety thing, for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know how that is, how that worked, how that eventuated, but he's done it.
It's also known as a regular Saturday. Regular Saturday. Don't know where I was going with that.
I believe that it's a few extra hours you're dealing with there, Pav, for a full day. But anyways. But yeah, Pav, how you been, mate? What's been happening?
Doing good, Capo. Being pretty relaxed. No big ones in a couple of weeks. Just enjoying the downtime. I say that knowing well and truly that there's some huge ones coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you've got some seriously big shit happening.
Yeah, big events. Perth Games Fest is happening this Saturday in Fremantle. If you're around,
yeah, very exciting. And so give us a rundown of what that is, mate. Like, what's the go?
So it's actually Perth Games Week as well. So in the lead up this entire week, there's going to be lots of stuff happening around the city and in Frio, and doing stuff with like pretty high profile developers. All leading to Saturday, which will be Perth Games Fest, where it's kind of like a little expo, highlighting a lot of Perth indie developers, both mainly focusing on video games, but there will definitely be some board games and other cool stuff hanging out there as well. So
games media.
Yeah, games media, a bunch of vendors as well, a bunch of people like in the scene. Should be good. I'm excited.
Sweet, dude. Well, do you know like what large kind of devs are popping their head in? Like anyone to sort of write home about?
You're throwing look.
Yeah. Here comes the fucking Trans Perth fucking number 3.
I have
stuck underneath.
Halfway under the bus right now. No, but I'm pretty sure I saw someone from Devolver, like
oh, cool.
Like some actually like prominent industry,
large.
Yeah,
that's really cool, man.
People coming down for like talks and discussions and workshops, all that sort of stuff. I don't quote me on the Devolver one, but there are people at that level, definitely. That level
of development. Yeah, that's cool, man. I might just see how we're looking Saturday. I don't think we've got an awful lot on, but that sounds really cool, actually.
Best part is it's a $10 ticket, so super affordable, and
dude,
pretty good.
Mate, that's a bloody beef gravy roll. It's a bargain. Very nice. And what else have you got on your horizon?
Coming up? We got PAX coming up in a couple weeks' time, as well. I'm not sure yet, but I think I might be heading over to Sydney for IEM as well. So,
dude, really? Is that CS:GO?
That is CS:GO. So watch the space. I might have more to tell you about that next week.
Pav is going pro.
I might have more to tell you about that next week. No contract's been signed yet, so I don't want to talk about it.
Still working out the finer details, such as your MMR.
I have no idea what that means.
Oh, nice one, mate. And well, Adrian, mate,
Hey,
first
mate.
time on the show. You're an excellent friend of myself and Grizz's, and it's great to have you here. But give us a bit of a rundown about yourself, mate, and your gaming background. What you like, what you don't like.
Okay. All right. My name's Adrian. I've been gaming for quite some time.
Yeah.
I think the first game I played was Alex the Kid on the Sega Master System. When it came, you wouldn't put a cartridge in. Free game. Clock bubble with my mum. That was pretty good.
Dude, nice.
And then
rad.
pretty much, just been playing games pretty much ever since.
Yeah.
What am I into? I like RPGs the most. Big RPG gamer, started with your Secret of Manners, your Secrets of Evermore.
Yeah.
Classic, Super Nintendo RPGs. What else? That's about it, really. RPGs, a bit of like first-person shooters, but nothing crazy.
You've carried that RPG flavor into the rest of your adulthood as well.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's definitely changed the way that I interact with the world.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you fucking go into a job interview and you fucking rolling dice, and the boss is like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
I'll intimidate this guy. I reckon I'll intimidate him.
You will give me the job. He's like, "No, I won't. Get out of my office."
Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair.
Yeah, critical one. That's okay. Yeah, nice one, mate. That's brilliant. And well, mate, what did your weekend look like? What did you have happen? What was going on?
Well, at the moment, I just started English teaching. So my free time is pretty much evaporated.
Yep.
So I've been just doing a lot of marking, just trying to get in a couple of hours Baldur's Gate 3 when I can.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Taking stuff out of the sleep bucket as opposed to the leisure bucket or the work bucket. So I'm paying for that. But
it's funny how your life becomes a series of buckets where you're just trading water in between them, and then
it's always sleep. It's always sleep for me, I think.
Yeah.
So even though it's obviously the most important, it is the one that I look to first. So got last week of term, so just got about 4 more days to go, and then I'm just going to binge Armored Core, I reckon, till my eyes bleed.
Oh, dude, nice. Yeah. Well, we can probably have a bit of a better chat about that during the old how's your gaming going. But Armored Core's looking. I don't know. I don't know if it's my game per se, but I think I'll probably eventually give it a crack at some point. It does seem like it's in. Well, I was watching a YouTube video of how people have just clearly defined the PvP meta into just running shotguns.
Yeah.
That's it.
For me, those are always a weird addition to FromSoft games. I never engage with them. The multiplayer,
the PvP side. Yeah. I'm the same. I never do PvP because I just hate it. Because the amount of cheese that's involved is, it's ridiculous.
I just want to wander around.
Yeah, I want to experience the loathsome, grimdark fantasy world.
Yeah, that's
not the stupid red phantoms running around with freaking pizza cutter wheels hanging off them. But yeah, nice one, mate. Freaking excellent. Well, my weekend was pretty meager. Actually, I'll tell you what we did do. Myself and my wife Mia, we had our first actual date since Ted was born. So that's almost a year, and that was delightful, absolutely delightful, much needed, very warranted.
Year's a long time.
Yeah, it's an exceptionally long time. Yeah. So basically a year since we've both been able to eat dinner at the same time, which it's something you just take for granted. But yeah, it was really good. We did an escape room, which we were insanely close to finishing, but we didn't quite finish it at the end, and we just got a little bit hot under the collar as the timer was ticking down.
Yeah, the time pressure.
The time pressure was rough, and we just couldn't quite align the couple of clues we had, and we were thinking about it in the wrong way. But it was a shitload of fun. So it was like a wizard themed thing. It's one thing that I've noticed about just escape rooms is 50% of all escape rooms have a chessboard as a part of the puzzle. It's like, guys, come on, checkers, anything else?
Yeah.
You gotta,
Boggle,
yeah,
Throw me for a loop.
yeah, fucking bop it, like
Actually,
let's go,
Boggle
that'd be a
pretty
crack.
good.
Yeah, actually, yeah, absolutely. But there's some good puzzles in there. There was, well, I don't want to give it too much away in case people do it, but there was this one where there was these things on the wall, and you'd take a tablet off, and the tablet, as you took it off the wall, it would make a certain noise, and it would imply which tablet should go in that space. So you're kind of flipping these tablets around, and but yeah, it was really good. And then we also went to one of the local pubs down the road from the escape room we did, and just had a pizza and a couple of pints on the river. It was freaking gorgeous. So that was good, and did another zoo day with Ted, which was great the next day. So solid weekend. Yeah, it was actually pretty packed. So but yeah, so there you go. Now look, let's freaking dive straight into it. As always, we belt out the house rules. So if you were listening from the beginning, you'd know that we record this bad boy live on twitch.tv/Oceanic Gaming Radio from 7 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. And you can also listen to this on any of your favorite podcasting platforms, Spotify, be it Apple iTunes. You pick your poison. We'll pump it there. So you may even notice if you're listening on certain platforms, you're hearing ads now. So yeah, we've pulled a bit of a Unity on you, and that's part of the unsung agreement without your consent. So yeah, if you're hearing ads, sorry, but we're going to fucking monetize this bad boy, okay? At the cost of all of our relationships. So there you go. Now, speaking about monetization, just want to say a big thank you to our wonderful Patreons. They are the legends that come out every month and drop five big ones in our bank account each. And they are the following: Sukai, Moosey, Caging Runt, Sergeant Paul, Lee GD, J Libs, Brendan, Dan Fantastic, and Strops. Freaking legendary. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your continued patronage in these times of economic need and also economic greed, which we'll get more into very shortly. But yeah, so there you go. Now, starting off with the quest log, got a pretty sizable quest log today. 3 main topics. We'll sort of finish off with the PlayStation State of Play and the Nintendo Direct. But to start us off today, Unity has introduced some incredibly controversial new pricing structure policies in the last week. And boy, has it generated some heat on the social medias, dear Lord. Essentially, if you're not in the know, video games are made on video game engines, and one of those popular engines is Unity. Unity kind of came about. I don't know how old the actual engine itself is, but it kind of was a bit of an underdog game engine for a little while there, and garnered quite a significant following. And ever since, it's kind of etched itself sort of as probably the second / first most used game engine, I would have thought, alongside the Unreal Engine. So managed to muscle its way in there, and it's incredibly popular. A lot of video games are made on the the Unity engine. Now, originally, the pricing structure for Unity was a revenue split where you'd reached a certain amount of capital raised, and then you'd have a certain amount of capital shared with the parent company that has created the Unity game engine. And yeah, anyway, so what they've done since is they've announced some pretty dramatic price changes. And the thing that kind of underpins the majority of this is a thing called a Unity runtime cost, which it's kind of like, well, every time someone installs a game that is made with Unity, the developer needs to pay about, well, depending on the pricing structure, 20 cents or so. That's kind of your hot take on it, Adrian, roughly in terms of
from what I've sort of looked at, it's pretty much essentially correct. I think one thing that I thought was interesting was that it would be in the case of like your streaming like game services like Xbox Games Pass, it's paid by the distributor.
Yeah. So, for example, Microsoft, etc. But so one thing to note about this is Unity is split into three major streams, and those are dependent on the license that you use as the developer. So you got your personal, pro, and enterprise, and those all cost X amount of dollars to maintain a license for. And each one of those different license types incurs a different threshold, which is when the install fee essentially comes into action. So, for example, on the personal tier of Unity, which a lot of indie developers and stuff are on, as soon as you make $200,000 or have 200,000 installs, you then start paying 20 cents per install. On Pro, you either make $1 million or have 1 million installs, and the same happens. Except their price tiering is a little bit different, a little bit cheaper. And then the same for Unity Enterprise. Now, just to give you an idea, so for the personal license, the cheapest license that you can buy as a developer, so that's the 20 cents per install. Depending on the installs over the threshold, and this is probably going to go over a lot of people's heads because it went over mine, but there's different tiering in terms of what you pay per install for the other two license types for Unity. So I think the lowest for Pro is 15 cents per install, or as low as 2 cents per install. And for Enterprise, it's 12.5 cents per install and as low as 1 cent per install, depending on how many installs you have over another threshold. And they've been really, really kind to the developers. They've also sort of marked emerging markets as a different rate. So those are third world countries who install your video game. They will charge you a much lower fee for those countries because I guess they just install a bunch of shit. I'm not really too sure what I'm imagining maybe the idea there is that they're like less likely to spend money on your platform, so you don't have to pay as much.
Part of it also might be the sort of the weakness of their currency versus the US dollar.
Yeah, good point, actually. So, yeah.
That's just something I'm thinking now. Because I know for like in terms of like Steam games and stuff, if you use a VPN or do any of that kind of, you can get some quite large sort of discounts on games. It's because it's the opposite of the Australia tax, right?
Yes, good point.
We pay a lot, even though our currency isn't that bad against the US, but yet Diablo 4 cost me $120 or something.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because, I mean, here in Australia, we do tend to have, a significant amount of dollars required to purchase video games, which is kind of brutal. But I suppose they're kind of, kind of working that in there. But yeah, I think a few things to note. Demos, apparently, according to Unity, will be exempt from this. So too will bundles, but you'll have to tell Unity when you're bundling video games. So that's like your humble bundles and stuff like that. But I mean, like you said before, Adrian, like the fact that they are now going to have, Microsoft footing the bill for a developer having their game on Game Pass if they chose to develop a video game on Unity seems kind of shit because, I mean, if I was Microsoft, I'd be like, well, I don't really want to do that. Firstly,
yeah, it's it's an interesting one, and I think it is in part. This decision is in part due to like the increase of those kind of like ways of distributing games, Xbox Games Pass, your PlayStation Plus, and so on. But I also think, just from having a bit of a look around, I think they're trying to get a chunk of the money on free-to-play games.
Absolutely. It seems very much like that early tier of pricing, the 20 cents per install and the license types is they're aiming for these mobile games that they're free to play and do a shitload through microtransactions and whatnot versus sold copies, I guess, and the revenue share kind of being avoided. But the problem is, in that same tier, unfortunately, indie developers seem to be getting engulfed in this as well, because the constraints around the pricing and the license types affects them as well. So all of a sudden they're up for potentially 20 cents per install. And it's important to note that these changes were firstly insanely poorly communicated and just kind of were dropped on developers. But on top of that, these price changes are going to be retrospective in the sense that video games that currently use the Unity engine will not be exempt from these price changes from the 1st of January or something like that, 2024, next year. You will have to begin paying if you meet the requirements for the threshold, which I don't know. How do you think about, what do you think about about that?
Well, it's an interesting thing because the install threshold is for lifetime. So
exactly.
If you are one of these established games, you've crossed that, immediately, right? But the
exactly
revenue
right.
threshold is the last revenue threshold is the last 12 months, and I think it's like done on a monthly basis. So
correct. Yeah. So I mean,
you'll almost
for example,
immediately be paying this fee.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're a well-established game that managed to, I'm thinking of like Cult of the Lamb and stuff like that. You had quite a spike in popularity. They've almost certainly sort of made that threshold in both senses, and they're going to all of a sudden have this, debt that they had no idea that they were going to have to pay all of a sudden, which just seems insanely brutal. But I think at the same time, maybe it doesn't seem that brutal because of the kind of people that are leading Unity at the moment. I actually had no idea about the fact that John Riccitiello, who used to be the ex-CEO of EA Games, is the current CEO of Unity. And I mean, he is best known for suggesting that he'd love to see video gamers pay to reload their gun in Call of Duty, etc. And just has always been on the high horse for essentially pumping people for utilizing microtransactions. He even went as far to say that he thought that indie game developers were fucking stupid, literal words, because they weren't utilizing microtransactions as he saw fit. So,
it's an interesting one because I don't think even through this sort of model that they've picked up, are they going to have access to those microtransactions of, the games that use them? But
no.
One thing I wanted to say this, when I looked at this, I compared it basically to the only other sort of free revenue sharing model that I could see, like Unreal Engine, right?
Yep.
You can use Unreal Engine for free until you get $1 million in gross revenue.
Yep.
And when that happens, you have to pay 5% royalty on that amount. So it works out to be like 50 grand. So that's 5% of your gross revenue, right? But let's say using Unity's system that they've got, you're unipersonal because you're a small developer, and you make a game that you sell for $3 on the Apple Store or Google Play or whatever.
Reasonable.
Reasonable. That actually works out to be 15 cents, 5%. 5% revenue share. If you would use Unreal's engine, would cost you 15 cents on that gross revenue, right?
Yep.
So if you're actually going through Unity, it's worse for you. The flat 20% install, you're actually worse off than the 5% revenue sharing model.
Yeah, which would make, that makes complete sense, right? Because you're bridging both systems at that point as well. And then, Unity probably would argue that, but it's only after your X number of downloads. But that's still, that could be life shattering, honestly.
Well, that's
you know,
I mean, if you're making something cheap, you're most likely going to use Unity for it because it doesn't necessarily cost you money up front. And if you're selling some mobile game that's like $3 and people are just grabbing it because it's $3, right? It's almost a microtransaction in itself. And your Unity and you're taking over 5% of that every time, it adds up.
Oh, absolutely.
I looked at some numbers, right? Because I was interested to sort of see like what are some big Unity games. Among Us is one of them.
Yeah,
right?
Huge.
And just based on its peak amount of daily active players, right? Thinking that could, account for the install base. 60 million daily active players in 2020. So using using the Unity's fee, for example, if this had come out then, it works out like $12 million or something like that. It's like an outrageous amount. Same thing
it's
with
a significant portion.
Genshin Impact, right? What did I find out for that? So yeah, so
I think the Genshins would be your major target, right? Or at least it seems
100%.
that way based on the way that this is all structured. Because I think those developers seem to be avoiding the majority of revenue share because a lot of it's done through microtransactions, etc.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's not necessarily counting towards the revenue of that product, I assume, because it's not the revenue of Genshin Impact; it's the revenue of the stuff you're buying or selling for Genshin Impact.
Yes. So I think there's loopholes that they're finding, basically.
Yeah,
so,
so I think that's what's motivating this. I think
absolutely
it's trying to make a grab at free-to-play games that use microtransactions to make their money as opposed to like product costs.
Yeah. Now, one thing to note, and again, this is what kind of sucks for indie developers, is that how does Unity ensure that every one of those installs isn't fraudulent, isn't I heard the term install terrorism, isn't some form of install terrorism being subjected upon a developer who maybe is undergoing some kind of hate-related install fest for one of their games. There's no real sort of suggestion by Unity that they have a solid way of doing it. They do sort of seem to think that they have some kind of proprietary software that they'll be using to eliminate fraudulent pirated copy installs from your list of installs overall. But I mean, frankly, based on the way that Unity announced this news, the little effort they took in preparing and communicating this news to their developers properly, I wouldn't trust anything they fucking say, especially if they're the one charging me the bill at the end of the day, right? Like,
and that's the thing. It's like, well, when does that happen? Is it after you give them the money, or is it before you give them the money?
Yeah, exactly.
And how you got to give them the money and then ask for some of it back? That's a lot more difficult.
Exactly. And how do you accurately know yourself that the installs are non-fraudulent, right?
There's a lot of unanswered questions.
Exactly right.
I would say even another thing I was thinking about is like, if you're making these kind of indie games with Unity and you're going to be the target of sort of like install terrorism or whatever it's called, because for whatever reason you have like a woman as a main character and that upsets a certain subset of the internet, it's more likely to happen to an independent game because independent developers are the ones that take chances, right? Whereas your AAAs, they're doing it straight down the line because they've got shareholders waiting for it. So it's even more of a risk for the kind of people that would use Unity.
Absolutely. Yeah, but overall, like I think, it's hard to kind of watch because I mean, me personally, I preferred Unity. I've dabbled in games dev and I really liked Unity as just an ecosystem for developing games, and I preferred using C# as the main programming language over using something like C++ because I just C++ is just a little bit cumbersome to me. So Unity was like a great kind of option for me, and I feel like now I'm just completely checked out. I don't want anything to do with it now. In fact, over the weekend I deleted Unity off my computer and spooled up unreal because I was like, well, at least that's fairly, what do you call it? Stable in terms of their pricing policy as far as we're aware. I mean, anyone can probably make something along these lines and do something along these lines, but ultimately, yeah, I think you're going to be seeing a lot of developers shifting away from Unity because, I mean, these prices, realistically are pretty egregious. And again, it seems pretty risky going with a business that's happy to drop a bomb on their community of developers suddenly like this.
It sort of seems it's a strange one because one of the big sort of draw cards I think for Unity was the fact you could just use it, right? If you're messing around, sort of dabbling in game development, you could use it. And if you're someone who was like reasonably skilled at it, and you put together a small team, you could use it. And so removing that from Unity, is that, it's going to destroy that kind of community.
Absolutely.
Which is what you want for a game engine. But I think
that's what these game engines also are built upon is community usage and tutorials and building an ecosystem. I mean, otherwise, what's the price of admission for learning is so much higher because you don't have community resources and a community of people that are willing to help you. I mean, if you think about starting any new hobby, having a Reddit or something along those lines where people are, offering suggestions for how to do X, Y, Z for beginners or whatever else, that's really important for onboarding, new hobbyists. But, if all of a sudden you've got these people that don't want anything to do with an engine, what's keeping people utilizing your engine? I think that's one thing that maybe Unity ultimately I think might be overestimating is their ability to withhold their developers utilizing their engine. I think there are a fair few developers that are locked to their projects at the moment, and it's super fucked for them.
Well, I think about one that's pretty close to home, Hollow Knight Silksong.
Yeah, good point.
That's hasn't been released yet. It's been delayed a bunch of times, and Team Cherry, are the kind of people, because they're a small team, it's like, well, we'll just release it when it's done. Because I don't have shareholders breathing down their neck or a publisher saying, no, we need it this quarter. But for them now, they have a real time limit because Hollow Knight Silksong is going to be pretty big, I reckn. I mean, I'm definitely going to buy it day one. And the original Hollow Knight, I'm just looking.
There's 20 cents.
Yeah, that's right. Here you go. Yeah, don't spend it all at once. What am I looking at? Hollow Knight sales, what 1.2 million copies. Sorry.
That's a significant amount.
In a year, right? By 29, it has sold 2.8 million. So this is, I guess I would say Hollow Knight really is the kind of textbook example of like a developer that's not really a big developer. I think, what have they got, 3 people on staff that are going to be absolutely smashed by this Unity change. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's ultimately the huge thing I'm seeing on a lot of, developer Twitters and whatnot is, there is a lot of outcry for Unity to backpedal a lot of these changes. There's even developers saying that they have completely swiveled and gone, okay, we need to import into another engine and just get off Unity because but not every developer is going to be able to make that change. There's technical limitations for whatever you're building. B, there might also be a technical knowledge limitation for your developers and being able to get that out of that project. But I think the thing that sucks the most is probably some of these smaller developers. I mean, games like Hollow Knight, I mean, they take years and years to create, right? And now all of a sudden you go, well, fuck, if you're maybe a year away from release, let's just say, and you've put 4 years in already, that's a horrific amount of time. How do you wind that back?
Where are you going to find, even if it takes you half as long to redevelop or port the game or whatever, where are you going to find 2 more years of wages, and
exactly
rent and all that stuff? You're not going to.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in the business model.
Yeah, exactly.
No way.
And that's the thing. So I think like ultimately, they are holding their their cohort hostage. And it's kind of gross just kind of seeing a lot of the bigger AAA developers just getting a bit of a free ride because they're paying a significant amount more for a better license. I just think that's completely fucked. I just wish that they could figure out a better way to target some of these free-to-play markets, and whether that be through, I don't know, some new fork of Unity that mobile needs to use.
Yeah, but even still, it's like, I'd say like, Genshin Impact, right? That it would represent an insane amount of money for Unity, right? If you look at
absolutely,
so like if you're looking at the minimum, right, 0.1 cents per install, right, 0.1 cent for 0.1 cent for install. Sorry, they're still going to make them on their install base. I was looking at it. They're still going to make the $1,395,000, right? That's total installs of Genshin Impact. But the last one, it's like $27 million, which is outrageous. And even because I was thinking possibly the purpose of doing this is trying to push these big developers from your Unity Plus and Unity Personal, pushing them up to the top subscription. Because they know I think there's like, I was reading, there's about 700 developers that work on Genshin. So if you get them all to Unity Enterprise or Unity Pro, I think that works out to be $1.2 million a year, right? And that's every year coming in, as long as they're developing Genshin. So part of this might be, shifting people up a tier.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Unity hasn't been doing particularly well, and that's something that a lot of people are pretty quick to point out, is that Unity's finances have been pretty garbage, and they've kind of been bleeding money for all kinds of reasons. I mean, the economy's not all that crash hot, regardless, for a lot of different sectors at the moment, but Unity seems to be suffering particularly poorly, and a lot of people are also suggesting that maybe Unity might be a bit bloated with its staff count, for example. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it is just interesting to see this as an approach, because I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day. I was cooking dinner, and I was like, imagine if every time I cooked the same dish, I had to pay someone 20 cents to use that recipe.
I mean, that's the world they want. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It just makes it's fucking crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. And I'm doing all the work. I just have the rules on how to make it. Yeah. Like that's ultimately what it is. And this is a very similar approach. Like, and if you think about what is actually happening, you are installing a runtime on your device. Unity doesn't spend any money, any energy, nothing for you to physically install that on your device. You're paying the power bill for your CPU to do that particular task. So like the whole idea of you paying for that, I understand it from a like you were using our thing, but it just from a actual what is happening in that moment and what you're actually paying for just fucking breaks my mind, and it's just, I find it so horrible. But yeah. I think ultimately I just find this terrible for indie developers, and even things like games preservation. Like what's going to be keeping people wanting to maintain storefronts for video games well after their heyday, if they're knowing that they're just going to have a trickling fee trailing off this whatever game it is over time,
because it's not necessarily, those games aren't necessarily pulling people into the service, but
exactly,
if they're available on the service. And I mean, that's like it's a big conversation, that concept of what we have now of like how do you keep games? They're all on like services where you don't, like Steam, you don't technically own the game, they just let you use a license. And one is an interesting one. I don't know if you guys have played that Obsidian RPG, Alpha Protocol.
No, I don't think I did.
It was a very cool, very weird game in which you played like a spy, and you're sort of gone around, doing missions and whatever. But in true Obsidian style, it had this insane amount of branching pathways, depending on where you went, depending on who you talked to, who you allied with, who you killed. Really quite cool. It didn't do very well because it was quite buggy, but it's probably one of my favorite games. But you can't buy it anymore. The rights are owned by some company. It's similar to, I don't know if you guys remember, System Shock 2 wasn't distributed for ages because it was owned by some sort of like investment banking company.
Oh yeah. It wasn't Vivendi or something like that, was it?
No, it was like an actual company that maybe like a real estate company or something.
Just bought out the rights for it.
Yeah, somehow got it. And they had obviously no interest in republishing this game.
You should have to answer like a 50-page games trivia quiz to own any sort of game stock or have any kind of fucking input on video games in general.
At the very least, you should have to any percent of the game. At the very least.
At a minimum.
At a bare minimum. But it's quite a cool game, and I'd urge anyone, if you can find a copy, to play it. I think you can get some physical copies for Xbox. It was doing some pretty cool stuff. I think I played it through about maybe 4 or 5 times, each time different.
Yeah.
But you can't buy it anymore. You can't like purchase it like on license. I've got it on my Steam account, but it does no longer exist digitally.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that you might see more and more of, especially if it's a Unity-based game, or if other, I mean, what if Unreal decides to take a sidestep and do something similar to this? I don't think they will, because I think it would be a poor move. But what if they did, right? Like, you're going to start seeing these games just leaving shop fronts, or, I mean, speaking again about Cult of the Lamb, the developers jokingly, albeit, but they did suggest that they might be deleting their game off of storefronts, because why would they want to keep it up,
Yeah, 100%.
You've had a lot of different developers come out. The Among Us guys said, have obviously voiced their criticisms quite dramatically. Even had, Megacrit, who are the guys that do, what do you call it? Slay the Spire, come out and say that they're working on a new project at the moment, and they committed a lot of resources to Unity for this next project, and now they're just like, well, fuck.
Yeah, what do we do?
Like, this is insane. Like, this is a risk that we weren't ready to take.
I think it's important to like sort of acknowledge that, like, Slay the Spire, incredible indie game that does something different, right? Like, I never really played a game like Slay the Spire until I played 400 hours of it or whatever. But the other thing that I just looking up here now, Outer Wilds, that was made using the Unity engine. And, I'm not Outer Worlds or whatever, the Bethesda one.
No,
Outer Wilds,
the good one.
Where you're like in a time loop, which is honestly one of the best games I've ever played.
Absolutely one of the best for me as well.
It's just, you got to play it. But those kind of games wouldn't be made for, with using like a AAA or AAA sort of development engine, because they're kind of weird. It's persons, weird ideas, and then they use this engine to create it. And so I guess Unity has to decide, like, which side of the fence does it want to be on?
Well, that's the thing. And I really do feel like they have kind of drawn their line in the sand quite dramatically. And I think indie developers are on the other side, and I just don't think they give a shit.
But I feel like another engine will come up and do what Unity used to do, right? Because
and I think that engine is called Godot. I don't know if you've heard of Godot.
I was having a bit of a look at that. But I don't know too much about it. But like, if you look at when Unity was developed, it was designed to democratize game development, right?
Yeah.
It was meant to make it accessible to everybody. And that was in 2005, 2006?
Sounds about right.
2007, sorry. So, what did we get? 15 years out of it? It's not too bad.
And here we are, being funneled through the corporate fucking digestive tract, and
it's probably about that.
Shit out.
15, 20 years. I mean, you think about when did WoW come out? 2004?
Yeah.
15, 20.
Yeah, so similar kind of timeline, right? And similar kind of effect. I mean, thinking about Blizzard in general, really.
Yeah, that's
Blizzard,
it, you know, like,
Blizzard's has the exact same thing, just eaten by the corporate freaking I don't know, greed demon, and shut out into a little cube of investor, bullion.
yeah, it happens, right? And then like, I mean, even to talk about a different industry, you can look at, like, I used to work at bottle shops, and you'd watch these big companies buy out these new craft breweries.
Yeah.
And they would immediately change the recipe of the beers in order to, cut costs. And then people would just not buy those beers anymore because they tasted bad. And then another company would get reasonably big, and then CUB or Lion would sweep in, buy it, make it shit, and then no one would buy it anymore.
Or they do things like they slowly reduce can sizes.
It's just,
there's always a downside to corporates catching things like this. But
100%. 100%.
I think just quickly going back to Godot, whilst we're kind of vaguely on the subject, interesting little engine because it's completely open source, and the intention is for it to remain completely open source. It is a pretty well established engine now, and pretty well loved by a pretty strong following of open source developers. But one cool thing I saw was the timing of they are seeking funding, basically like a funding round to continue to work on this particular engine and get it sort of really cranking at the moment. And it kind of timed out just as the Unity stuff broke. So hopefully we'll see Godot, secure a reasonable amount of funding and can really pump it and become a real open source giant. But I think for me, one thing that's kind of always put me off Godot is it uses a scripting language rather than a programming language, which, has its ups and downs. But for me, I'd much rather be programming in an actual language. And maybe that's something they're working on. I don't know. Maybe I missed the documentation that said they actually use this. But as far as I'm aware, they use a thing called GD script. But yes, it's definitely a different approach to your Unreals that use a more hardcore C++ language, and your Unities that use a fairly classic C# sort of Java-like language. But yeah, honestly, Unity. Fucking wild. It'd be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks, because I think that's when where we're going to see a lot of things come to a head, and whether they do budge to public pressure. I would think that they probably won't. Adrian, what do you reckon?
No, I don't think so. Because as you said, like most of these companies that are developing these games are locked in.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just switch away. Like Genshin Impact, they can't port Genshin Impact to another engine, right? Insanely expensive, and also you don't want the game down for any length of time, because that's costing you probably more than Unity is costing you.
Exactly.
The problem is it's those sort of mid-size or lower size independent developers that are going to get smashed by it, because it's not a revenue share model like Unreal Engine 3, but all that means is that, like, as you sort of scale down, it's more punishing. So
exactly right.
It leaves the established players to so they can sort of draw money from, and then they just don't give a damn about the rest, which are really the rest who they should be courting.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's what built Unity.
It's the rest that are the ones really iterating and producing brand new experiences. It's not the AAA studios that are producing interesting niche and bespoke gaming experiences. It's the indie developers who will take those chances, and now they're being penalized quite heavily for not having the backing and having the being able to do that. And even thinking about things like Vampire Survivors, that started its own fucking subgenre. You know what I mean? You don't see AAAs doing that anymore. They just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big example, Diablo 4. I bought that, and it's just like, oh, this is like Diablo 3, but not as good as Diablo 3 is now.
Yeah.
It's this idea that they just want it like straight down the line. You could do some really cool, interesting stuff with Diablo as a franchise and as a concept, that action RPG. But for whatever reason, probably because it's risky, they're not going to do it.
No, of course
you end
not.
up with, same old thing yet again.
Yeah, it's the same reason why you see these studios remaking video games, because they know it'll get sales because it's a nostalgia driver, right? So
yeah, we can talk about that. I think if we go into Final Fantasy VII, that's an interesting one.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, speaking about that, let's pull the plug on the Unity bathtub, just like they've done to their fucking public opinion. But yeah, so there you go. I mean, God, Unity. We'll see what happens, but holy dooly, quite the freaking conundrum happening there. All right, now we're going to kind of blitz through these just because, I mean, there's a lot of shit that kind of we just already knew about for the most part, but we had a PlayStation State of Play. Now, there was a bunch of shit that was announced. Well, not quite announced. Either we knew about and we kind of got new trailers, etc. Not an awful lot that we didn't know about. So the big ticket items we got off that were Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We got more of a gameplay trailer this time, which looked pretty good. Adrian, did you play the initial Final Fantasy remake?
I did play it. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah. Were you a player of the original PlayStation game?
I did play the original Final Fantasy VII. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic, right? I mean
it is.
I feel like they did a pretty good job of recreating that in a more modern engine with a new approach, and I am kind of a pretty big fan of the fact that they're slightly tweaking the story in weird and wonderful ways.
I think I think it's a very cool idea. I was sort of thinking about it, like we do it with movies, right? Like think about how many sort of like different variations on Batman we've had.
Yeah.
And how Batman kind of changes based on, the director. If we look back at like the sort of the 1980s, 1990s Batman.
Yeah.
By, Helena Bonham Carter's then husband. I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, I can't think of the guy either. I know who you're talking about though.
Hang on, I'll find it real quick. Tim Burton.
Yeah. The old classic.
Yeah, and those were kind of super weird, man. I remember seeing the one Batman Returns with the Penguin, Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Oh yeah,
that's just terrifying, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you've got your sort of your Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan. They put another spin on it, so it's like, why can't we do that to video games? Why can't we retell these narratives in different ways?
Yeah, but also kind of having a lot of the appeal of the original game. Like one thing I was when Final Fantasy Remake kind of came out, I wondered how they would translate some of the weird shit that happens in the original game into, just literally not pre-rendered backgrounds and two polygon characters with like 5 fucking sides to them. How are they going to recreate this particular moment where there's all these like muscle men like groping one another and just all this random shit that happened in the game, and they did a really good job of
100% committed to it.
They just embraced that weirdness, and I mean even the Honeybee Inn scene.
Well, when you're in infiltrating Don Corleone's.
Yeah, I mean it is fucking excellent. They did such a good job, and I think looking at this most recent trailer, we see a lot of Cloud and Sephiroth. And just some of the classic, I guess, scenes from the original game, just after they leave Midgar and go towards Nibelheim and all those other areas. We see Kate Sith, the cat character. We see that. We also see that vampire dude. I can't remember his freaking name, but he's Vincent in there as well. Vincent.
I wonder, are they going to change, much the same way they've slightly changed the narrative? Are they going to slightly change Kate Sith so you actually want him in your party?
Yeah, well, I mean, I never had him in my party.
No way, man.
That guy is shit, but he looks baller in the trailers. Very arcadey in the way I don't know that he approaches his attack styles and stuff. And I mean, speaking of arcadey, we get a bit of a glimpse of the Golden Saucer as from that original game, and presumably some of the mini games we can play at the Golden Saucer, which is
like
such
House.
Oh man, it looks really dope, and I think the scope for this game seems a lot bigger than the original. So the first part of the remake series, I guess, and we're definitely getting a few interesting kind of interactions between characters. For example, we see Cloud and Sephiroth battling some stuff together, which I don't really think takes place in that area of the game from memory anyway. But yeah, so Feb 29th, we're gonna be getting that, and it's on 2 discs, Adrian, taking us back to the good old days.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, take disc out, put disc 2 in. I'm freaking ready. So there you go. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Well, actually, quickly before we end on that one, developers maybe kind of taking a risk whilst not really taking a risk on something. I mean, obviously people are going to buy the Final Fantasy remake game series. I mean, it's that obvious and easy, but they are kind of, I think it's quite a big risk to tweak your story in a group of fans as fickle as video gamers can be. I think that's quite a significant risk to be taking, but kudos for them to be doing it.
I think it's very cool. They could easily have done a completely faithful remake to Final Fantasy VII with better graphics, and it would have sold an insane amount. For them to and also for them to not even really make the changing of the narrative like a marketing point, so that as you're playing it, you're like, hang on, this is
you're like, wait, this is weird.
What I remember. Is that because I played this game when I was 10 years old? Or are they gaslighting me?
Yes. The answer is both.
I think it's I'd like gaslighting. This is very cool.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of when From Software released Bloodborne and made no mention of the fact that it goes, from 0 to 100% Lovecraftian. About halfway through, people just go, "What the fuck?" I thought this was a freaking Van Helsing werewolf tale, not freaking, Lovecraft's freaking deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that's my jam.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that as well. Yeah, which is wonderful. But yeah, I'm very keen for the next iteration of the Final Fantasy VII remake series, and I think the combat looked really good as well. It's something I'm looking forward to immensely. So one thing I would love to see them do, actually, Adrian, is like have a turn-based mode in there that isn't just like easy mode, because they had an easy mode turn-based thing going on in the original. But I'd love to see them do like a, have the ability to do either action-based combat or some kind of turn-based thing, just for the nostalgia's sake,
Yeah, I think something like that would be cool. Or even if it was, a certain part of the game, it's all turn-based for a bit.
Yeah,
perhaps I don't know, just sort of spitballing. But I didn't mind the action strategy kind of thing.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty cool and sort of similar to like your Final Fantasy, like 14, those kind of ones.
Yeah,
your gambits, what have you.
Yeah, no, I think it was a pretty good approach either way, and I think probably just a good decision generally to have that kind of combat style for your potential Zoomer percentage of gamers these days.
Well, even the new Final Fantasy is like you're sort of closer to your Devil May Cry than
exactly
the previous entries, which I think is an interesting trend.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move along to Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Now, when I looked at this trailer, Adrian, all I could think of was it just looked like Far Cry with a freaking Avatar shader.
Okay, Ubisoft made it. Yeah, that's probably checks out, man.
Yeah,
I think they're allergic to not reusing their assets.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised. But you know, I think the classic Ubisoft formula is, I don't know, a little bit kind of, I don't know. I'm a bit over it, to be honest.
I don't. They're not good game developers, man. I don't think.
No, I
don't think they
the
make
mighty
good
have
games.
fallen quite far.
Far Cry 3 was awesome. I
Yeah.
thought that was very cool. Far Cry 2, incredible game.
Yeah,
Retelling
the Assassin's Creed 1s and 2s,
yeah.
you know.
But they used to do cool stuff like Far Cry 2.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. It's a retelling of Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad.
Yeah.
And more than like any other sort of game, in order to like Heart of Darkness or, you know, I'd say the remake of it, the film Apocalypse Now, is about a man, you know, in this kind of situation, completely losing his humanity. In Far Cry 2, they make you lose your humanity. In order to really succeed at that game, you've got to do stuff like set people's houses on fire, shoot a dude with a sniper rifle, and then pick up his friends as they come to rescue him. Like, it makes you become a beast.
A disgusting, vile,
incredible way of getting your theme across that is really only available to video games. That's the kind of games they were making. And then Far Cry 3 comes out, and it twists on their head that white savior narrative.
Yeah.
Right? And then Far Cry 4 comes out, and it's Far Cry 3. And then Far Cry 5 comes out, and it's Far Cry 4, and so on and so forth. It's like someone there was making some pretty cool games and taking some pretty cool chances. And now they're not.
They stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, they stopped for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I
think it's
a fan of Ubisoft, really.
Yeah. I think I always I loved my Assassin's Creeds to begin with, but I mean they kind of went downhill fairly dramatically. And I think
game.
Yeah, it literally became that same game over and over again, to the point where even when they tried to make a change to that series, they couldn't. And I think this particular trailer just kind of voiced that so perfectly well yet again. Like, I kept seeing things I've seen in Far Cry. You know, like just the way the character moves. Like I'm climbing a fucking tower and I'm unlocking something. Like I'm stealing
I'm this 8 foot tall blue dude. I should climb different.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt bizarre to look at, but I don't know what I was expecting from this game, but I was not expecting this, because when we got the early rumblings about the fact that there was this Frontiers kind of Avatar game coming out, it kind of sounded like it was going to be more RPG than this, but yeah, it just seems like it's just Far Cry with another lick of paint. So I don't know. Stand to be corrected if it comes out and it's actually good, but right now, don't know how I feel about it. So we'll see what happens.
That is a good point, actually, in the chat. Was Avatar 2 a big event? I feel like the right time for this game was 11 years ago. And I'm like, I think you're spot on there. I didn't really care about Avatar: The Way of Water.
I think it sold pretty well, though.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Avatar, like just in terms of the sheer spectacle of it.
Yeah, I think Airy J is 100% correct there, but I don't know. Maybe I feel like movie media and video game tie-ins are just less compatible these days anyway.
I don't think they're ever good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably one good game, Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay.
True.
That was good.
Banger. Absolute banger.
Like the Aladdin on Super Nintendo, that was pretty good as well.
Dude, that was the first game I ever completed by myself as a
Yeah.
child. You know? So
yeah,
got a special little spot in my heart. It's a classic. But yeah, I don't know.
Beyond that, it's like none of them are very good. It's good, and I mean it's because video games and movies are like the opposite.
Yeah, well, exactly.
The cool thing about video games are the simulations, and the cool thing about movies are the narratives. And you can't have both, or it's very hard to have both.
Yeah, and in this particular instance, I think we're not having both. Though this next one, Spider-Man 2, look, I'm going to be honest. People know about my feelings for Marvel and just general superhero stuff. I'm completely uninterested. Still very uninterested with Spider-Man 2, but they seem to be doing a lot of cool shit with the next iteration of the Spider-Man series, based on just what I saw in the trailer. Like they're doing kind of that GTA switch between the different Spider-Mans thing, and you can go and do Spider-Man A and Spider-Man B, Miles Morales and Peter Parker. But the game looks incredibly gorgeous. And it looks like they're kind of pumping a lot of extra villains in there. So I think lovers of the Spider-Man series and just kind of superhero Marvel stuff are going to be eating pretty well with this particular game. Did you have a bit of a look, Adrian?
I have not looked at Spider-Man 2. I played the other Spider-Man.
Yep.
Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. I found them pretty fun. I thought they had a good combat system. They had a good traversal, like in a sort of,
which you have to get right for a Spider-Man game. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're not going to get the web slinging sorted, like, fuck, you've lost. It's a game over.
It's game over. But I think I would say for like any sort of, your Grand Theft Autos and stuff, I think accepting those Rockstar ones, you need some sort of good traversal mechanic. I don't know if you guys ever played Prototype. It's like sort of like mid quality or reasonable quality kind of not unknown game, but not by a big AAA. That was excellent. Like just running up walls, turning into a bad thing.
Isn't that the same developer as Spider-Man, Insomniac?
It's by developers Radical Entertainment.
Okay. I'm thinking of Infamous, I think.
Yeah. So Infamous I played and I wasn't super huge on.
Yeah.
But I quite enjoyed the Spider-Man games. I thought they had good combat, good traversal, and like good attention to detail. Like
Infamous wasn't even them either. They were Sucker Punch, just FYI.
Like, I think when you're in Spider-Man, when you're like, they recorded 2 voice lines for Peter Parker. One when you're just walking around normally, and one when you're swinging. And the one when you're swinging, you're out of breath. Just like little touches like that, I really like.
Yeah, that's cool. I do like that.
Yeah, it's like that kind of stuff. It just means the game's going to be good, right? Because they care. Someone cared enough to go, Spider-Man should be out of breath when he's swinging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just all these little attentions to details that you need.
Yeah, that's the big one.
But I mean, Spider-Man 2 looks pretty sexy. So look, those are the major kind of standouts for your PlayStation State of Play. There's a bunch of other stuff that kind of cruising around. Looks like Honkai Star Rail was releasing on the 11th of October. So some people are going to be pretty excited about that. We've got some more Helldivers 2 gameplay. They've got some new freaking face plates that are similar to controller colors that are coming. Ghost Runner 2 got some more gameplay, bunch of Resident Evil shit, Ghostbusters. So look, there was a bunch of stuff, but the ones we discussed, they were the standouts. Now, we also got a Nintendo Direct, which again, big week of news. So look, Nintendo Direct, a lot of shit was announced. I might just quickly touch on some of the low-hanging fruit stuff. We got, where were we? WarioWare got a brand new look at some of its mini games coming in November. We also got there's like an F-Zero one, wild. I never thought I'd ever see Captain Falcon back in action again, but they've got some weird 99 player battle royale thing called F-Zero 99 that is available now. Yeah, which is crazy. So kind of what was that, like the Tetris battle royale thing they had?
Oh yeah.
So I guess in a similar kind of vein to that. They also had, we knew that Detective Pikachu was coming, and we got a bit more of a gameplay trailer for that. Got another look at the Super Mario RPG gameplay and stuff, which is the direct remake of the Super Nintendo Super Mario RPG game. So pretty baller, and a bunch of other shit. Splatoon's getting DLC and a bunch of other stuff. But the standouts. So we had Mario versus Donkey Kong. Now this is a remake of the GBA title. There's a series of Mario versus Donkey Kong games. They're kind of a bit more puzzly and kind of single screen levels, I guess, in the kind of a bridge between the sort of Super Mario gameplay, but crossed with the arcade Mario kind of Donkey Kong thing that used to happen, or where you're kind of running up jumping over barrels and shit like that.
And watch and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Your games and watch stuff. So kind of like meets in the middle there. So if you played the GBA title, you probably know exactly what you're after. Looks fairly simplistic, but a lot of people were really hyped about this one because I think there's not an awful lot in that kind of ilk these days anyway. So you'll get your chance to play that bad boy. So exciting. Now, interesting one. We knew that Princess Peach Showtime was coming along, but we got just a bit of a gameplay preview. It does indeed look like it is like a theater kind of thing, and Princess Peach is on stage doing theatrical stuff, fighting against a big baddie, but using a hair ribbon as a weapon. And what else was there? She also has kind of like power-ups where she dresses in different costumes and does different shit.
Gets like a sword, I saw.
Yeah, just kind of the Musketeers thing. What else was there? Also, like a Indiana Jones kind of inspector kind of thing. I actually thought this is awesome because the Super Mario movie did super well, and I'd imagine that Princess Peach probably garnered quite a significant following of young people that like her as a character, and I think this is probably a perfect way to kind of get people onboarded for having a heroine, I guess, as a is that how you pronounce it? Heroin.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not the drug. The fucking
the
other
female
one.
hero.
Yeah, the female hero. Having a heroin-based kind of game. I guess. I mean, obviously they're out there, but we've never really seen Princess Peach do much outside of the damsel in distress thing, and I guess in the more recent movie, kind of we got a bit outside of that, and we've seen Princess Peach do some less kind of damsel in distressy stuff. So yeah, I think this is great. Bring it to a new audience, and yeah, give her a new lick of paint, and she don't need no man.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I was just it reminds me of, I don't know if you guys ever played that old school like Mickey Mouse game on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, what was that one?
One of them, it was like a.
Was he on the boat and the black and white at the start, or am I thinking of a different one?
No, that's like, I think you're talking about Steamboat Willie way back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
No, this one was like, you get like one level is like a wizard, and the other level you get like some grappling hooks or whatever.
Oh, is it like
that kind of like link to the sort of
Mickey's Enchanted something? Man,
yeah.
I know the exact one you're talking about. Can't think of what it's called.
Something like that. I don't know. But it seemed like, and that kind of gameplay I've always thought was pretty cool. Finding different power ups and changing the game a little bit.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty much up for anything Nintendo does. I don't really think they make bad games.
No, I don't either. Even despite being quite simplistic a lot of the time, I think that their approach to level design is nuanced and well delivered every single time, regardless. So
I think so. You can pretty much. I mean, it might not be for you in the sense that I probably won't play the Mario vs Donkey Kong.
No, me neither.
I'm not going to say that it's like a bad game.
No,
there's a reason for it to exist.
Exactly, and I'm probably the same with Princess Peach. Just I probably won't get around to it. I want something maybe slightly more challenging. So, but this next game might fit the bill for me. Maybe for you too, Adrian. Don't know if you've ever played Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, but that is a cult Nintendo classic that never got a re-release after its initial release on the GameCube. So we're getting a full remake, and people are fucking losing their shit over it.
I will have to play it. I never played it the first time. I went through like a PlayStation period.
Around that time,
Nintendo 64.
Yep. Yep. So you were.
So I missed out on a few.
Yeah. Well, the GameCube, God, great console, but there were some plonker titles on it. But it did produce Wind Waker, which, dear boy, oh my goodness, what a game. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that The Thousand-Year Door is some of the best writing that Nintendo's ever done.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to narrative and I think just general kind of dialogue, and just kind of being funny in general. So as far as I'm aware, Paper Mario Thousand-Year Door, some people, I mean, as always, some people always say things, but agreed to be probably one of the better titles in the RPG kind of vein and everything else. So So yeah, get your freaking eyeballs around it once it comes out. I'm not too sure on the exact release date for that one actually, but I think it was next year sometime.
2024, they reckon.
Yeah, which interesting that they've kind of gone Super Mario RPG and then Thousand Year Door fairly close together. I thought they might have staggered them a bit more, but kind of suggests to me that maybe they're trying to pump these out before they have the Switch 2 come out, whenever that is. And I'd probably say end of next year sometime.
Yeah, no, I reckon you'd probably be on the money with that.
Yeah, so there you go. Now, that's our freaking quest log. So good shit. We pumped through that. Pretty big discussion on Unity, but I think it was well warranted. Interesting shit going down in the Unity camp. Now, we didn't have a poll last week because, quite frankly, I forgot. And normally I get Grizz to do that. And, Grizz has only had 27 hours of sleep, or not had sleep in 27 hours. So didn't happen. But you can expect one next week, promise. All right. So in lieu of that, we have a little segment called How's Your Gaming Been Going, Adrian? I want to know how your gaming's been going, mate.
Well, I just recently finished my teaching degree. I started teaching, so all my free time is gone.
Yeah.
So I've been managing to jam in like a couple of hours of Baldur's Gate 3, a few times a week, just taking that out of the sleep bucket.
Yep.
And
placing it into the other buckets,
the leisure bucket, shouldn't
be putting things in.
Then taking it, then taking stuff from the mental health bucket, putting that in the sleep bucket. I've just been having an absolute blast playing it. I've been playing it multiplayer with a couple of mates, and it really captures the kind of chaos of good D&D when everyone's got their own plans and their own sort of things, and like
no one can agree on anything.
Not great, and it's been really fun. I've been really enjoying it.
I can't believe we've gotten ourselves into this particular fight. Shit, how are we going to get out of this?
We've killed everybody again, but it was the other person this time. Other than that, I play a multiplayer game of Civ 6 with some friends, and we do that we do it like once a week.
Yep.
Play a sesh. We sort of started that in lockdown, actually.
You guys have been doing it for ages now.
Ages, man. I really recommend it. If you're sitting out there and you got Civ and some friends, man, start up a weekly Civ match. It's a cool way to hang out.
That's a banger. Yeah, either that or do a weekly Baldur's Gate match.
Yeah, one of the two. One of the two. But that's about it, really. Other than that,
that's wicked, mate. Love it. Yeah, well, man, I've been doing something pretty similar. I mean, trying to pump through Baldur's Gate where I can. I want to really get through a single-player playthrough before I touch multiplayer, and I'm pretty close. I'm in the final act. Obviously, won't say anything about it, but God, that have you gotten to the second act, Adrian?
I'm in the third act now.
Oh, you are? Cool.
It gets because I had to start a solo game, for the other times. More out of the sleep bucket. But with the multiplayer game, we're in the second act still, and it's like. Things have gone terribly wrong in my solo game, so it's all new for me, really.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the writing's awesome, man. The story is awesome. It's like just really well done, and like in video games, writing's not normally very good.
No,
most time it's pretty bad. So it's good that I guess it's a big part of RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, especially, but. Yeah,
it's for sure. Fun. But it's still I mean, honestly, this is like they should be fucking printing Baldur's Gate 3 CDs and putting them into fucking space capsules to send to aliens as examples of human work. Because this is the pinnacle, in my opinion. Like, just the way that they have been able to generate something of this caliber, but like with this much scope is just fucking insane.
Yeah,
it blows my mind.
I mean, it took them a long time. They were at it for a while.
Yeah,
God bless them.
I mean, God, they did it.
Like the changes they've made to the combat, the 5th edition combat, is excellent.
Yes,
like, I find out of all the things, probably because I do play Dungeons and Dragons, combat is the thing I think that drags the most.
Yeah,
but it's really quite fun. I think part of it is like all the the different abilities and stuff that you get with each weapon, which gives a variety. But also, just they're really good at counter design. So, like, that's the other part, right? That's
absolutely.
The other part that makes combat fun. You can do that in your 5th edition games. It just requires, like, a fair bit of work.
Yeah, I think that's the big one. Is a lot of the encounters are they're tweaked in ways that makes most encounters feel really fresh.
Yeah,
you're not kind of just having the same old shit every time. You're not just fighting, this particular enemy. Like whether it be a different combination or your terrain's a little bit different, or you're dealing with, could be some kind of environmental thing you're dealing with. It's brilliant the way that they kind of mix it all together. It's it's just the secret sauce is just mental.
It's quite interesting. Like as you saw, follow on what you were saying. It's like it's the game. It's like big in scope, but it's also flexible enough that you can kind of have those cool D&D moments in a game that doesn't have a dungeon master, Like you can do some wackadoo stuff that you would, do like, playing with 4 other people, with one person running the game, which I think is very cool that they can make a game that's tight enough like that, but still flexible enough for you to be able to do some, something what makes D&D fun.
Oh, absolutely. I really do hope that they put together some DLC. I think they have discussed the challenges that would invoke, I guess, beyond the levels. They start hitting spells that, fucking change reality and stuff like that, which I think pretty hard to program.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like the decision to stop it at level 12 is like, that kind of makes sense. I mean, that's when like playing pen and paper D&D. It's like that's when the game's at its most fun, probably. The levels from 5 to level 12, I reckon. Yeah. When you're having the most fun. Beyond that, it starts to get a little bit to like Star Wars Return of the Skywalker or whatever, where it's like everything is this huge world-ending threat, and thus it becomes very boring.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then you've got your levels 1 to 4 where any encounter could fucking wipe your party.
Yeah, you just drop down off a medium ledge with your legs and you don't bend your knees.
Yeah,
you're down.
You should have watched your fucking OH&S fucking videos, mate. Classic. But yeah, look, honestly, loving Baldur's Gate every second of it. I believe you and I are going to have a multiplayer game soon at some point, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that, man. It's going to be fun as hell.
That's going to be huge. So we're looking forward to that. I've been playing a little bit of Sea of Stars here and there. Really, really good game. It's just kind of become my need to not think about anything and just kind of go to sleep soon game, which has been great. That kind of, what do you call it? Chrono Trigger-esque. I wouldn't say it's definitely not as good as Chrono Trigger, and nor is it as in depth when it comes to just even just the magic system and stuff, but it's still a very fucking solid indie game and definitely deserving of people's time. So worth a crack. And I've been trying to get back into Starfield, but man, that game is fucking boring. It's fucking boring. Sorry, but it's shit. It's so fucking boring. I can't believe it.
I don't think that Bethesda make good games.
Not anymore.
I mean, the way I sort of see it is like, back when Oblivion was coming out, Morrowind, and to an extent Skyrim, like nobody was doing those kind of games, right?
That was the Wild West of RPG development, Yeah,
if you wanted a massive sprawling world in which you could wander around and do whatever, it had to be a Bethesda game. But now, The Witcher came out, The Witcher 2, The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption, which is kind of similar.
We've had all these pinnacle RPGs
Dark
that
Souls
just prove the craft.
And so Starfield, and to an extension Fallout 4, they haven't changed the game enough. It's the same game with a new coat of paint. And I mean, if you like that, that's good. That's fine. But for me, it's like, I don't know. I just don't like doing it anymore.
I'm just chasing new experiences is the problem. Yeah. And I'm not getting that from this game. It's Fallout 4 in space, and it's not even written that well. Like some of the story is just, I'm just finding inane, and the tasks I'm tasked with, I'm just like, okay, cool, go and do this. They do a really poor job of like really tying it all together with a nice game engine, because you just feel like you're starting every 2 seconds between loading screens. It's just it's fucking appalling. So I don't know. It makes me worried about Elder Scrolls 6 because I mean I've been hyped for Elder Scrolls 6 since I was in high school. So
Yeah.
I'd love to see them pull it off, but I mean I have absolutely no trust that they can produce a reasonable Elder Scrolls game that isn't a pile of hunking poo-poo. So
yeah, I just don't think they're capable of it.
No, I think the glory days are over. Unfortunately, Bethesda, and this was a pretty. I mean, it's a fine game. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just finding it so boring because there's nothing good about it either.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing something different. It's like Diablo 4.
Yeah,
I played that for a bit. I was quite enjoying it, but then it's like, well, that's it. That's the game, right?
Yeah. I got the exact same point. I felt the exact same way.
And like, I sort of one thing I don't know if you ever played Death Stranding.
Yes.
But I mean, that game is like, pretty wild.
Oh yeah.
One thing I thought about that was very interesting about it is that it's very gamey in the sense of how they introduce new things. So it's like, you get like this, and then like you start off, you get your ladders and your ropes and whatever, and then something happens, and now the game has changed a little bit. You've got vehicles. Then you've got a point where BB, you don't have him anymore. So it's like very gamey in the sense, even though it's like a really big narrative game. All through the game, you're constantly losing stuff and gaining stuff and changing the way that you interact with the world. Whereas Bethesda games, it's like you start at the beginning and that's it. That's you. There's never like this narrative point where like, you've got to make do with something. It's like
you're not culminating to these points or anything. You just kind of you're there.
Like something cool, something crazy good.
Yeah,
it's all like. I think
which I'm constantly getting in Baldur's Gate at the moment.
Oh, dude, it's just like we've got some insane stuff going now. We've got some really crazy, synergies going. Like my mate's playing a rogue. Every time he disengages, he makes this fog cloud. He has this ring that stops him from getting blinded, which means that when he fog clouds, he can still see the enemy.
That's crazy.
He always has advantage on them. And then he's got some thing that makes him do a crit on 19 and 20 if he's obscured, which the fog cloud does. And so he's just like running around. It's a huge problem for us because now there's just fog clouds all over the fucking battlefield, and I can't target people with heals, and obviously I'm blind in the fog. But I tell you what, he's having a ball. He's having an absolute blast.
I love that. It's so good. Yeah, God, what a fucking game.
And I think that's the thing. It's like Starfield's come out. Well, Baldur's Gate 3 exists now,
Yeah.
We've got to evolve.
And of course, all I can do is compare it.
Yeah, because they're at the same time. And
it's not very favourable for Starfield.
No, it's
at
not.
all.
It's just you've got to do something new. You've got to evolve.
Yeah, you have to.
Or maybe they don't because they're still selling.
I mean, and it has sold really well, and people are quite happy to play
morally, you have to evolve.
Yeah. They haven't. Yeah, they might have made money, but have they made moral coin? No.
Have they made dreams?
No.
They haven't.
Zilch.
Deep and dreamless sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. God, you're not wrong. I suppose that one last thing I wanted to say is Lies of P is out in like a few hours or something.
Are you going to get into that?
I'm pretty keen. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Bloodborne Pinocchio thing going on.
Yeah, I read this thing. It's like you can, like improve your weapons, but you can also break your weapons and put one weapon on top of another weapon to make another, which seems like that's pretty cool. I like that stuff. It's almost like Dark Cloud, that old school.
I think the hilt acts as like it gives you like an ability, and then the blade is like the move set kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they've got some really cool shit going on with how your blade constantly suffers like deterioration, and then you've got to kind of like in the middle of combat find time to use your weapon grinder on it and sharpen it up.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah, which is cool. It is the way it's been good. So, in the demo I played, the only thing I didn't like at the time of the demo was the dodge felt like shit, but I think they apparently addressed that. So, pretty keen to give that a crack. And I think it's on Game Pass from memory. So get around it. Hopefully not a Unity or they're going to be suffering.
Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Now, look, that's basically that's the freaking how your game is going, and I think we're going to dive straight into rapid fire news. So let's get in there.
Fire news.
brought to you by
DJ Francesco.
It's in the freaking game, baby. All right, this is the rapid fire news segment where we rapidly duck through some of the other things we didn't get a chance to talk about this week. To begin with, NBA 2K24 is Steam's second most worst rated game of all time. Looks like the approach to just funneling microtransactions into video games, as the CEO of Unity seems to believe is the way to go, isn't the way to go according to public opinion. So there you go. Next, Starfield's getting mod support next year, Adrian. So maybe they can someone can mod the game to be good.
Just hire the developers that make the good mod games, the good mods, and then get them to make the next game.
Exactly. It's fucking easy.
After
Bethesda.
that, get the people that mod that game, hire them, fire the others. That's
exactly.
That's how you get better.
It's like the fucking Ouroboros, just eating itself over and over again.
Them out.
Yeah, I love that. All right, Bungie wins court case against serial cheater, leading to a $500,000 fine and permaban. Now, this guy was a real piece of shit. Basically, he just like constantly was running cheats and death threats to fucking Bungie staff. But yeah, so this person is a real turd. So
That's
there
good.
you go. Won't be coming back. Get the fuck out of here. All right, next one. Nintendo patent seems to suggest that they have solved Joy-Con drift for the Switch 2, which is quite big. 'Cause, I mean, Joy-Con drift became a huge curse for Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, I've been churning through them. I game hard.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it's hard to believe that they missed that in quality assurance testing for the original Switch. So it makes me wonder whether they just had to commit to the peripheral and that they knew that was going to happen eventually.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I remember like my Nintendo 64 controllers getting pretty loosey goosey.
Oh, dude!
After a couple rounds of Mario Party or the powder.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, dude, you're grinding that fucking like plastic thumbstick with your palm, trying to do semicircles and full revolutions over and over again as quickly as you could.
Yeah.
You're gonna be grinding something.
Something's got to give, right? It's either your palms or some of the analog stick. But I mean, I got stick drift on my PS5 controllers. As I said, I game pretty hard. But my partner bought me one of the Elite controllers, which is like insanely expensive, like a crazy amount to spend. But one thing that I found really appealing, you can take the thumbsticks off. You can even swap out the actual analog sticks and put in new ones, which kind of, I mean, makes sense from like a game hard perspective, but also from a sustainability perspective. I shouldn't have to buy a whole new controller.
Well, Microsoft is getting behind that now as well. Their marketplace is expanding to include controller. What do you call it? Pieces. I don't know.
I think it's a good idea.
So you can do self repairs.
Even from like a customization perspective, they should be doing that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So also, Armored Core 6 has sold 1.2 million units on PC. You'll be one of those next ones, Adrian.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna play it so bad, man. I'm gonna play it till my eyes bleed.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. Big time. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that game as well. So I don't want to see you sticking to the shotgun meta though, mate. I don't want to hear it. All right. Only Up has been delisted from Steam. That is that weird like game where you're literally just crawling up a platform thing all the way. It's kind of like got the what is it? Getting over it vibe going on where you're trying to get up the thing. Looks like this coincided with Grizz's recent playthrough, so I can only imagine the two are related. So there you go. All right, Hades 2 will launch with early access in Q2 of 2024. I don't know how I feel about that. A game like Hades, I kind of just want the entire meal on my plate. I don't want to be served it entree, and then finally the rest of the meal a year or so later. So I don't know. I guess it's just how it is. It's how people do things these days. EA has also said that Sims 5 will not feature any energy mechanics, which they didn't say anything about any other mechanics. So we'll see what other mechanics they've got to take that place of funneling your money into their pockets. Immortals of Avium, the developers of, have laid off half their staff since the game did horrifically shit. So unfortunate, but yeah, that's just how it goes. I guess when your first week you have a max of like 700 players. So yeah, pretty rough.
Players.
No, not even close. They wouldn't even trigger the threshold for 20 cents an install. So rough, pretty rough. All right. EA is ending support for Wild Hearts, which is their Monster Hunter-like game, 7 months after release. Bing bong. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I think the game had a lot of potential, but just didn't quite meet the needs of Monster Hunter fans. Yeah, don't know. Just didn't quite hit that mark. So unfortunate. I really liked what they're doing with the bosses and I don't know, just the approach to the game, but yeah, didn't quite hit the mark. So there you go. But that is the entirety of the Rapid Fire News, and that's the show. It's been a banger. Adrian, thanks for being here, mate. You're a freaking legend.
Thanks for having me. I had a wonderful time.
Yeah, really it was awesome, mate. Yeah, no, it was great chatting shop and chatting shit with you, mate. I think we had some pretty good perspectives on all things video gaming, and yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate. Hopefully have you on again soon, mate. That'd be great.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, fucking excellent. All right, for those at home listening, you can find this podcast on any of your favorite platforms. Just type in Oceanic Gaming Radio. Go and hit us with a big 5-star review. We'd appreciate it. You can find all of our other links on ogr.show. That includes our Twitch link, our Twitter link if you want to vote in our polls, and even our Discord link if you want to come and say g'day in the chat there. Tell us what you think about about Starfield or what you don't think. And yeah, that's about it, really. I think that's all of our links. Other than that, if you want to become a Patreon, go to patreon.com/OGR show, and you too can be spending money on us. What a privilege. But yeah, anyways, we'll see you guys next week on Monday. Thank you for being here. Again, don't forget to drop a hot review on your favorite podcasting platform. And yeah, see you on the flippy floppy. Yeah, nice. That was good.
Sweet. Yeah, that was
Perfect.
fun.
Here we go for time. I've got 1 hour 42 or something.
1 hour 42. I'm on 137.
Oh, okay. I must have accidentally pulled the trigger too early. So yeah, we timed it really well.
Yeah, perfect.
We did go deep on the Unity stuff, but
yeah. Nobody ever talks to me about video games, so I had a lot to say.
Yeah, it was a good discussion though. Like, I mean, the whole thing is actually fucked.
Yeah, it's just a sort of the way of it, right? Things start off good, and then the money guys get their hands on it because they can't do anything other than make money. So, because if they could do stuff, they'd be doing that, you know?
Yeah, well, literally. That thing. Yeah, exactly.
But they can't, so they find a way to make a thing, make money, so that they could get some of that money, and in doing so, destroy the thing because they can't. Yeah. They can't do anything.
Yeah, and I feel like there's also there's definitely a degree of, businessman works for gaming studio but doesn't really understand how gaming studio works.
I understand how
is just there to make money.
And I think I think running a company is difficult. I'm not saying that it's a it's an easy thing. These guys just sort of walk in and get it done, but it's just the opposite of what these things should be, what makes them good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The reason Unity is so big now is because it started as a way for people to be able to make games without investing a bunch of money into an engine, right? And then all these people that couldn't make games before could make them. and they made cool ones, and then it got bigger, and now it sucks. So same thing will probably happen with Godot. So you just ride that wave.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is hopefully Godot stays open source, which I can't imagine that changing. So it might be your only option for not getting completely fucked over by, a John Riccatelli. But
at least for the time being.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. Very good point. But yeah, hey, we need a title for this episode. Some kind of pun on Unity Unite.
Surely something with Unity in the title.
What about how about literally just game devs unite against Unity? Question mark. Always put a question mark in for clickbait fight. Yeah. You want to make something clickbaity? Put a question mark in there because people want the answer. No, that's a good question. I need the answer to that. I'm going to have to click this now. Fuck.
I reckon, you should do. I got one. Nintendo make game where you get to marry Princess Peach? Question mark.
Oh.
Oh God. Devs united in Unity hatred. That's fucking not bad either.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I like that.
How about we do Suikai's with a question mark?
Or like Devs United, Unity Spited.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Actually, that's a good one.
That's really good. Okay, let's go that.
Unity Spited. All right, there you go. Just copy and paste that back.
That's, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably the best title we've had in a while.
Yeah. Well, hey, come on, mate. As the lead title producer on this show.
Oh, look, we've been struggling for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, hang on. Let's look at some All Stars. What have we got in here? Dr. Disrespect was probably one of the best of all time. What else we got in here? I don't know. Have Bethesda's stars aligned? I thought that was pretty good. Has Mario lost his voice? I'm just on Spotify going through the list.
Oh, right.
And then episode 69, just nice. Full stop. Yeah. That's fucking great.
I mean, you can't pass that one up.
Oh, how about Elden Ring 2, Baldur's Gate 3?
All right. I'm mistaken. We've had some bangers recently. All right, I'm absolutely wrong.
And when we were discussing Armored Core 6, we said, "What do you make of this new game?"
Was that actually the title?
That was the title.
No way.
Dude, how about Bear Fornication Simulator? Yeah, you say our titles are shit, but they are fucking great.
Yeah, look. Yeah, I'm dead wrong. Yeah.
Dude, it's good. It's really good. There's some
what do you
make
there. Of this new game is cringe as fuck.
It is so bad, but fuck, it's good. It's too good.
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have a good time. All right, so that's that. And now we need to find someone to host. My least favorite part of this show because I don't know anyone anymore on Twitch.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when you bail immediately after the raid.
Hey man, all right. Some of us have to go and put fucking formula in a bottle. All right, it's a personal choice, and I regret it sometimes. What about? Where are we? Who we got? Oh, Desane's on. Have we done Desane recently?
I think we did Desane recently, but if we raid Desane, there's no pressure to hang around.
Love it. Great thinking.
Everybody else I have.
I mean, to be honest, there's no pressure anyway. But I know there's implicit pressure apparently.
It's the reason for rating, Cam.
No, we have Grizz on that front.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to edit the damn episode so we can get it out tonight. I need to clean my kitchen. Oh dear. All right,
dude.
I got to get out of here. Let's get this done. Where am
Let's
I?
get it schmoving.
Get it.
Again, Adrian, it's been great having you on here, mate.
Oh,
Real
nice to have
fun.
me, man. I had a good time.
Just talking about fucking video games. How good is it?
It's my first podcast appearance, I think.
Oh,
Nice.
I've been on one
You nailed
before.
it. Great
Thanks,
job, man. Huge. That was good fun. Really good
Cap,
fun.
I'm really disappointed that you didn't comment on Adrian's presence on the stream.
Yeah. I was going to say, I should have picked a less intense photo, maybe.
I'm just so used to that face.
Capsule's a fair.
Yeah. It's just that's my sleep paralysis, David. So
All right, fellas, that's gonna be it. We're rating Desane, a good friend of ours, Perth streamer as well, or WA streamer at least. Yeah, so go say good day. You've probably been there before, but yeah, check a follow if you haven't. Good mate.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Any last words before we start the raid?
No, go.